Welcome to Transit Talk, Human Design Transits, real talk in real time. I'm Kathy.
And I'm Jess. We meet up about every 6 days to explore the current human design transits and how they're actually showing up in our lives. And we'd love for you to join us.
We're talking energy in the moment, what we're feeling, what we're noticing, what the transits are stirring up inside us, and literally for Jess, inside all around us. So whether you're joining us live or listening later, we're glad you're here. Oops.
Let's get into it.
I just am so amazed by Jess at the moment that I read her part. So, okay.
Perfect.
It's perfect.
It's okay. I've got a bit of a muffled mind, a pregnancy brain, so.
Well, remember we got you married, and then last time we got you pregnant, and now this was really quick. Because Jess, what's going on?
Oh, 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 ah. I ate too many pickles.
Oh, so we're getting ahead of ourselves. Jess is the Earth grounded in gate 60, which is the gate of,
Contraction.
and I am gate 56, the Wanderer, also known as the gate of stimulation, I should say. That's the primary traditional human design gate. And I'm really excited to see how I can actually wear this stupid neck pillow before I start sweating. And you will notice I am not a baseball cap person. This is actually my husband's. I had to go find one. But I was trying to do that whole airport vibe, wanderer, traveler, those people who have a backpack and their whole life is in it and they just wander around. And yeah, so okay, I'm gonna let Lisa in. She's here joining us already. So this is interesting energy right now, and so there's so much stuff going on with all these retrogrades slowing us down, and then all this stuff. I have just definitely need my stimulants, which is another name for gate 56, stimulation, but it's meant in a different way. Like the gate 56 is always looking for a new story to tell through some kind of stimulation, right? This energy to find something more and talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. So this is feels like very chatty Cathy energy, even though I do not have this gate defined in my chart. Hi, Lisa. Are you are you wearing are you wearing a headband or are you like me and wearing your sleep mask?
Headband.
I was just kind of teasing because I have my sleep mask up here with my airport vibes, right? So anyway, so do you want to get into it and share
Sure.
the screen, Jess, and we'll talk about the
Yeah,
about
what we've got
right
going
away?
on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Got to work around my limitation here of turning and mobility.
You're carrying very high. You must be having a boy.
That's so funny. That's what people said with Lily as well. And I carried very high with her, and it was so big. People used to ask me, they're like, "Are you having twins?" Because I was like super skinny then, and I had like this giant belly.
He was sucking all the nutrients to her.
Oh
I
yeah,
actually got skinnier everywhere else when I was pregnant because I just got this. It was like everything went there.
yeah, to the belly,
Yeah.
full on belly.
Okay. So we've got the sun in gate 56. It actually moved there yesterday afternoon, but since we had, um, oh, I just realized I don't have my mic plugged in. Hopefully everybody hears me okay. I was going to put in my AirPods for travel mode and I never did. But so gate 56 points towards the ajna from the throat center. So it is like one of those three gates that gives voice to our mind. But as we talked about last week when we had gate 62, remember that was a week or so ago. Wait, that was just the last transit. I'm so tired. I just use this pillow and take a nap. I don't know. Is anybody else tired? I'm wondering in the comments. Haven't looked in the group yet to see if anyone's joining us there. But I know the Schumann resonance has been off the charts the last few days.
Mhm.
And yeah, Lisa says exhausted. I'm just wiped. I didn't wake up. Like I'm not talking I was lazy and I didn't get out of bed. I didn't wake up until 10 a.m. It was
Mhm.
like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm wearing a baseball cap today, which I don't ever, like I said, I ever wear. So 56, though, is on the ajna or throat, pointing to the ajna. And although these gates give voice to our thoughts, they don't have a motor. There's no motor in the head center or the ajna center. So that needs to be drawn out of us. So again, this gate 56 energy is this storytelling gate that needs to be stimulated and brought out. And this energy is really always looking for a good story to tell, right?
Yeah. And with the throat, they all have their own little like keynote sayings. And so yeah, with this one, it's I believe, which is super interesting. Because I've had people ask me before, they're like, oh, do you have gate 56? Because I guess I start a lot of my sentences with, oh yeah, I believe, just as a way I like to verbalize and talk through things.
Right?
So mhm.
Yeah. Just see this. I actually was surprised I had not donated this neck pillow because it actually is horrible. Like it's already going to do like this. Actually, have you seen those videos that say this is how you're really supposed to use a neck pillow? But this one's too loose for that too because like you can't, it doesn't like somebody must you have to have a really fat neck for it to be helpful.
The
Anyway,
limitations of it.
right? The limitations of my neck
Gotta
pillow.
have an acceptance for it. Yeah.
So this gate 56 is it's connected a lot to this kind of nomadic traveler who like wanders around and then tells the tales of all of their adventures, right? So, and it's connected to the gate 11, which is the gate of ideas, and it forms this channel of curiosity. Now, we don't have that full channel activated, but if you have a hanging gate 11, you're going to have this feeling of the full channel temporarily. And this channel is not about figuring anything out or having any answers. It's really just this energy of talking about your ideas and your beliefs on things. And it's this really kind of chatty energy, right? It's very, um, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's
It's
very,
a sign of a seeker, of a seeker or
yeah,
searcher, something
both.
like
It
that.
is actually both the seeker. It's been said both the seeker and the searcher. So it's somebody who's going around looking for things and they're curious and it can be frustrating if you don't realize that the seeking is the purpose. It's not
Mhm.
finding,
Mhm.
right? The
You're
seeking and the searching.
continuously speaking. Yeah, it's not like, oh, I found the thing, now I'm done. It's like you find the thing, what's the next thing you're seeking and searching? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this is abstract energy, unlike last week where we had logical energy. So this is very like I can't explain it. I can't, but here, let me tell you a story that might kind of make it make sense, right?
Mhm.
And so it's kind of fun energy. And I was listening to Richard Rudd's little thing that he sends out every transit. If you don't get his emails, you can go to genekeys.com and sign up for the Pulse. And he was talking about how this is one of three stop codons in the chart. And I'll be honest, I'm not some of the science of the codon stuff still has kind of not really settled for me, but that just feels interesting to contemplate, right? So the stop codons and the fact that we are in a time with so many retrogrades. Mercury just went retrograde yesterday in gate 7, which is also this energy of direct, not really, it's this also on the throat, right? The 7 is on the throat and the 31. I often get those mixed up. The 7's on the identity center, right?
Yeah, the seven's on the G. Yeah.
Yeah, I get those mixed up
Mhm.
sometimes when I'm not looking at it. So yeah, the 7 is on the G center and but it's a gate of direction, right?
Mm.
The army. So we're in this energy with this Mercury retrograde, slowing down our communications. We still have Pluto and Neptune who've been retrograde for a while, and then we had Uranus last week that went retrograde. Wasn't it yeah, and Saturn. No, Saturn's the one that's I am just this is it. I am done.
Acceptance,
I'm
accepting the
accepting
limit.
the limitations of my brain, and the heat this pillow is giving me is not helping. So anyway,
Yeah.
talk, Jess.
Okay, so I don't know why. I felt the call for my Kismet code. So this is Ebony Alliard's her deck that she has, and I love this. It kind of combines the Gene Keys human design. And so looking at the 56, so she calls this one the wandering storyteller. And so the Gene Keys, that's distraction to enrichment to intoxication.
This is my distraction and
Your
moment.
distraction. You're embodying it well. I love
I'm
it.
distracted by how much I need stimulation.
Yes. And that's a limitation when you're pregnant, the coffee. Oh my goodness, that was very hard for me. So I personally chose not to drink coffee at all. But they say just to like limit your coffee.
Yeah, I think I had 1 cup a day when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I only do 1 cup now. I'm not pregnant though, just in case you're curious.
I was wondering.
I don't want you guys starting telling any stories here now.
It's really funny. So the kids actually named the baby. They're like, wait, you're having a baby? I was like, this is not a real baby. They're like, no, but I'm like, no, there's not a real baby. So we have baby Coral or potentially Chloe. It's like, it's too funny. So back to 56. So the core theme here is curiosity, stimulating storytelling. And on the light end, we have expansive experiences, humorous, fun, knows the good in life, the ultimate storyteller, sensational teacher, turns ideas into fables, stimulating, activates aliveness, delight, and personal empowerment. On the shadow end, learns through pleasure and pain, busy doing nothing. Feel that sometimes, that
Mhm.
busyness. You're like, what am I doing?
Right?
Victim of distractions, yes. Overstimulations, yes. Overwhelmed or bored. Victim mindset, emotionally attached to unhelpful stories, self-judgment, excessive exaggeration. To raise the frequency, encourage the development of great stories with travel, play, yes, and enriching environments. Allow your life to be a playground of adventure.
Yeah. That's awesome. Bella Crystal and Ashley Nicole have a website called 64 Doors. That's really nice because it has every gate it's listed as a door. So like when you go to the door and you unlock the door, it's really funny for this one and there's always an archetype, a specific, even if the gate name doesn't have an archetype, they have an archetype for it.
Yeah.
And this one, when you go to their website, you actually get like a thing that says admit one to this comedy show because it's the archetype of the comedian. And
Mm.
so I actually sat last night like, okay, what comedian could I show up as? That would be really funny because I really can see the stand-up comic specifically as very much the energy of Gate 56. Let me tell you a story. I got a story for you, and it's always a really funny story, right? And they're
Yeah.
always looking at life through the lens of how can I tell a good story about this? And I think of I wonder, does Chaitan have this gate? Because he's always
Feel like he does. I don't know for sure, but
all of
I
his
feel like
jokes and his stories, or he's definitely impacted by it. But we all have all of the chart, right? So we can definitely be a good comedian without
we're
this gate.
definitely experiencing
But
it right now. Yeah.
yeah, so but it was everything I kept trying to think of. I was like, the visuals just were not coming for me, and I was tired. So I was grounded in my limitations, right? Of I don't have this is something I could manage today was the weary traveler, the
I
no.
love it. I think it's absolutely perfect. And can we just take a minute to notice you put gate 56? You actually put the 56 in there. I appreciate that detail. Thank you for
Of
that.
course, it was like
Yeah.
part of the whole thing. I was actually, if had not been so limited by my lack of energy, I was going to put departing, distractions, and arriving at intoxication, layover in exhilaration, or what's the gift again? Is it exhilaration? Yeah, I think. Yeah, I was going to try to do all that, and I opened up
Intoxication, yeah.
Canva and I went, no, gate 56 arrivals is fine, or departure.
Good enough.
Thank
Taking
you.
the limitation, acceptance. So everybody, piece of acceptance today.
Right.
I really love this for affirmations here. A good day is a good day. A bad day is a good story. And so that's that energy of the 56. Like, yeah, it happened, but this is a great story. And there's that energy of playing at the edge of my comfort zone makes life an adventure. So you want to take a look at 60, what we're playing with here.
Here.
Let's
Oh,
see.
wait, Lisa, do you have gate 56 in your chart? We didn't talk about it. Neither one of us have gate 56 defined. So do you have gate 56?
I do not have 56. I have gate 60.
Okay.
But I resonate with the absolute exhaustion.
Yes.
Right now, yeah.
I just I can't do anything unless I am physically going out by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I just completely shut down, go to bed. Been reading, a lot about the Schumann resonances, not residences.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. I say residents too. The Schumann,
And
that's where the Schumanns live. They down in the earth.
exactly. And I'm just so, I don't remember being this tired before, even when my children were young. But you know what? I don't remember a lot from that time. I do remember being exhausted, but this is bone deep. I sleep all night, right? For the first time in a long time, I'm getting a really good night's sleep. I'm waking up in the morning. I'm doing a bit in the morning, and by 1 o'clock, my body is like, we are going to bed,
Wow.
and you are going to sleep for a while, and then you're going to wake up, and you're
Mhm.
still going to feel like you are in another dimension, because that's what it feels like when I wake up. I feel like I don't know where I am. I don't
Mhm.
know who I am. I don't know why I'm here. For a short time, I had loads of energy. That went really quickly. Yesterday, I had a really sore throat for no reason. That's gone. Now my hay fever is kicking in. The only thing that I seem to be able to do is boot camp. And I was supposed to do boot camp this morning, but it was pouring down with rain. I'm like, no, I am not a muddy boot camper. I am a
Limitations.
Yes.
Yeah, I am a fair weather boot camper, so we're just gonna cancel that one and try again for the tomorrow one. Actually, I want you was talking about comedians who tell stories. I don't know if you know about Josh Johnson. He's on the Daily Show. He's the black guy on the Daily Show.
Yeah.
He also does. I think probably feels like a weekly set, and it's on YouTube. That man can weave a story. It's amazing. So if you've never heard him
Mhm.
weave his stories, you should have a listen because he's entertaining, he's poignant, and he is funny, funny, funny.
Yeah.
That.
I love a good stand-up comic. I have been saying to my husband that we need to go to a a comedy show sometime. We haven't been to one in a long, long time. So it's always good to laugh, right? Laughter is such good medicine, and that's why, stories to be a good story, they need to create some kind of emotion, right? And I just think it's interesting how, sometimes people try to downplay their emotions, but really the stories that we like the best often are the ones that share some kind of emotion, right? Whether it's just outrage sometimes, which seems to be an easy one lately, but okay. So yes, so Jillian said, I don't have 56, I have gate 7, which I think you were talking about when I joined. Yes, we were talking about how Mercury has gone retrograde in gate 7, and we didn't really get too into that at this point. We were talking about gate 56, and now we're going to start talking about gate 60. Jess, do you want to share and talk about where gate 60?
Yeah. Hi, Jillian. Hi, Jonathan. Nice to see you both.
Valerie's watching too, so hello, Valerie.
Hello, Valerie. Let's take a look right here. Okay, so we're looking at 60 right here in our earth, our grounding. And I just had a thought, as Lisa was talking about this tired energy. And then the question came through of like, I wonder if, because we're in the quarter of mutation for our grounding right now, which is, transformation, purpose fulfilled through transformation. And if that's our grounding, I wonder if there's something that's got to do with that as well. So looking over here, we have the 60, and that's down in the root. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like my other images are on top of it. So the root, which is that pulse center that we're feeling that pressure coming through over here, gate 60. Acceptance, limitation, and that's linking up right here. This makes the channel of mutation with gate 3. And so gate 3 is the gate of ordering, and that's kind of like ordering the chaos as it's happening. And then if we take a look at our mandala, oh, it's gone. Hold on. Where's my mandala? Can you see my
I
mandala?
see balloons over a valley.
My random screen. Hold on, let me.
Here it is. There's your mandala. You just had it.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
It's not now. You closed it out, whatever it was you stopped
Yep,
sharing.
there it is, my mandala. So over here, so we have the 56. I always just love to look at the progression as we're moving through, where we just came from the 61, the 41, and then the 60. So over here, the 56, which
Came
is
from
our Earth,
60.
which, yeah, the 61. Okay.
We'll go into the 41.
Yes. And so 56 right here. So this is in that quarter of civilization, right? Which is that purpose fulfilled through form. And that's where the sun energy is. And our grounding energy right now, again, is over here in the quarter of mutation. So that's that overarching theme of that purpose fulfilled through transformation, through that change. And specifically with the 60, it's, that's the whole pregnancy thing. If you think about that, it's that pressure to mutate within that limitation, right? It's transcendence that's achieved through that acceptance of the limitation of what's there. And, really leaning into with this energy with mutation that I'm weird. I don't know why, but I'm like feeling the belly. I think because when I
I'm
was
laughing because Jillian came on late, so she's curious about the bump.
Oh,
Well,
you're curious about Jillian, I ate too many pickles.
we got her married. She was the marrying maid, and we got her married. And then last week, she, how did there was some joke we made last week about getting you pregnant. No, that was on something else when you're
I
eating all
think
the pickles. It
I
was
think I was eating pickles and like cheese, and you're like, "What are you doing?"
oh,
And I was like,
that
"I'm
wasn't
eating
on
my pickles."
Transit Talk. That was
Yeah,
when we
that
were
was
doing the tarot card pull in the
the
group.
card pull,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so today I'm representing the energy of limitation, acceptance. So it's contraction, right? The contractions. And if you think about it, it's giving birth to new life. It's giving birth to that mutation in that pressure. But so often, like with pregnancy, it's not like you can just be like, yes, you could have a C-section or something else, but it's kind of happens in its own timing. So there's this energy with this where there could be like this piece of like melancholy or depression when you're like, I feel this pressure, I feel these contractions happening, but the baby's not coming yet. The mutation isn't happening. It's kind of happening like in its own time, right? So accepting that limitation. And it's this pressure that builds under each possibility. But is this possibility the thing that is going to be born into reality, that's going to come and mutate, right? And we never know when that mutation is going to be released. So the pressure to transform within that limitation.
Yeah, the acceptance of limitation is the first step in transcendence. That's what it
Mhm.
says in the Book of
Yeah,
Lines.
accepting that limitation. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Can you put the mandala up again, Jess? Because I was noticing how interesting it is when you really look at how, we know that the sun and the earth, and the north node and the south node, any of these gates where they work in polarities like that, they're always completely opposite the mandala. But if you notice the progression of the energy, right? We've gone from, you know, just look at the beginning of this whole, what I'm trying to think what we're in there. That is Aquarius. Okay, Capricorn. So wait, what sign is that in? So we're in, I know this. It's not Capricorn. Yeah, that's Capricorn, right?
For 56, we
Yeah.
are
Well, the 60 is in Capricorn. No, I know that the sun right now is in
is in Cancer.
Cancer, but the other side is Capricorn still. So we're bridging between Capricorn and going into Aquarius right now, so for the Earth. The Earth is grounding us in those energies. But if you look at the gates of Capricorn in contrast with how they're going to move through the gates of, or how they moved through the gates of Cancer, it's like the energies are so completely opposite in order, right? The way that we went from, this gate 10, love of self, 58, knowing what's needed to bring joy, then knowing what's worth fighting for, preparing for this next thing that we want as this marrying maiden kind of energy, being ready for this next thing. This 61, this going inward and deep wonder. And then now limitation, slowing down, contracting, slow your roll, right? And then next week we'll move into that gate 41, that gate that's all about imagining and really, what could be. And if we look at that in opposite of this other energy is really telling us, okay, um, whoops, here your little thing popped up above me again. Go up higher. Your little thing's got to go away. So I can't see what was before 52, 15. So we were in this, the gate of extremes. Then we were in, 52 was the stillness down there when we were in the joyous. Like everything is completely opposite. But all of this, every time we're in one energy, the other one energy is always telling us go, and the other one's telling us slow, right? So there's always this push pull that can feel so frustrating if we don't just surrender to it and realize that there is a rhythm. And right now, the divine timing center is the root center. And that's where we're at right now with this gate 60 energy. So this rhythm of contraction at the same time, the root is the pulse of the earth. That's what the Schumann resonance is the pulse of the earth. So, right now we have this mutative energy that's grounding us at a time when we've been having this really bizarre, intense vibration in the earth that a lot of the things that I've read are talking about things like, we've jumped timelines, we've done all kinds of yeah, lots of stuff. So if you don't know about the Schumann resonance, look it up. There's one that says, there's a website I usually look at that I think is called Schumann Resonance Today. And you can see where it's at. And whenever you see a lot of white, that's really when you know it's intense. But anytime, I don't claim to really know how to read it, but I just know that we've had some off the charts energy coming through us. And so really spending time resting, hydrating, grounding in nature. Water is good, both to drink, both or to be in. Like bodies of water is ideal, but I'm not at the ocean, so a bath maybe this afternoon will be what I do, or maybe I'll go to the neighborhood pool. Who knows? So yeah, this gate 60 energy though has always been one that I've thought about in the past as like conservatism, right? In fact, I think that might be one of the names of it, but it's not the same as political conservatism because it is that conservatism that says don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Just because something's not working, like right now, yeah, don't throw just because the systems, like right now, we know that in society, America especially, the systems are all just breaking down. Things are not working. And there are those people who are like holding on for dear life to the old systems, and other people are like, yes, I'm here for it. Let it all just burn, right? And gate 60 is telling us to slow our roll and not hold on so tightly to the old systems, but to realize there is some value in some of the things that are breaking down, and where should we be looking to salvage things instead of just saying, let's chuck it all. So
Yeah, and there's a big thing there with that gate 60 because it's taking this energy that's like this pure energy and it's like that pressure to mutate it into form, into something. And so there is this restless energy to it. You're going to feel this restlessness with this right now, where if you think about if anybody who's been pregnant, there is this restlessness. It's like you're shifting and it's like it's uncomfortable and you can't sit properly or lie down properly. You're feeling that pulse, right? So what this energy can ask us to do, there's this feeling of like when you can't make like outward change, sometimes it can feel like that limitation can feel like a roadblock. It can feel like you're just running into that wall. When you can't make that outward change, like start looking inward, start looking within yourself is a beautiful place to come.
yeah. So Lisa, you type something in the comments. Do you want to just say it rather than me reading it since you're here?
Yeah, the natural frequency of the Earth is 7.83 hertz. And a few days ago, with the Schumann resonance, and that should have two ends. It was at 72 hertz.
Yeah.
That is just like that is like the equivalent of being about to give birth.
Yeah.
I mean, some really really power, and it affects people in very different ways. Some people are get very hyper, and other people get really really still. Like I said, when I've been sleeping, 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 it's just like it feels like nothing that I have experienced before. And I've had, like when it's up at 10 or 11 or even 20, I'm really, really active. I'm running around, zoo, 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 zoo. 72, I'm like, no, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Right?
I'm good.
Like I have to recalibrate here.
That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like recalibrating. It feels like every day when I wake up, I am not the same person as went to bed the night before. And because
Yeah.
like I'm the 2343, so you saying Jess that gate 56 is I believe and gate 23 is I know.
Mhm.
And I just know. I know a lot of things that are behind a gate that is not open for me yet. It's like there's a film, or like when you blur your screen in the back. So I know that there's something there,
Yeah.
but I just don't have access to it yet.
Mm.
That's what it feels like.
But you can feel it and know it's
Oh yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that it's a lot going on. So this, sometimes the names themselves can feel a little bit limiting in general, but every gate has its highest expression, right? It has the high and the low vibe energy. And this gate 60 is the city of justice, right? It's this gift of realism, and the highest expression is justice. And Chaitan talks about it as accepting restrictions allows for the possibility of flow and transcendence and the means to find new ways to resolve old problems. Setting and establishing prescribed boundaries and limits provides for a known foundation from which growth and evolution can take place. When you acknowledge and take care of any restriction, it becomes a potential springboard for advancement. And I wanted to read that before I read Jonathan's comment, because he just said something about he's got gate 60.6 both on his unconscious and conscious Saturn. And he made a comment that he doesn't recommend it in Saturn placement for anybody. It's a pain in the ass. And I just want to say that Saturn is always a pain in the ass. That's
Yes.
Saturn's job,
Yeah.
whatever gate. You could have gate 50 in Saturn, and it would be a pain in the ass until you really, really dig in and get the lessons of it. Because Saturn, I was just explaining to somebody last night that Saturn is that teacher that you had in school that you reflect on when you're like in your old age and you go, oh man, I remember, for me, it was Mr. Pottinger, you know. I remember Mr. Pottinger, he was the math teacher. He was so tough on everybody, you know, and he would always, you know, give you blah, blah, blah. But he always explained things. He always answered my questions, but he made me do the work. He made me show my work. He made me, you know, take the extra credit that, you know, if I didn't do extra credit problems, he would take credit off for me because he knew that I was able to do the things so much faster than someone else because I was really good in algebra. And so he really pushed me, and I used to think he was unfair. I used to think that, you know, he was mean sometimes. But in hindsight, he was the teacher who really showed me what I was capable of in ways that I would never have known if he had not pushed me the way he did. And that's what Saturn does. Saturn pushes you to be the best you can be. And so if you have gate 60 in Saturn, where are you being rigid or unstructured? Where are you stuck in the limitation energy of it in a way that is not taking you into the justice, the realism, you know, through the realism and the whole energy of what are the gifts of this that are going to help me to see how to really, you know, what's the opposite of throwing the baby out with the bathwater? You know, to really keep the bones and the structure of something that exists, you know. It's really easy here in America. A lot of times when a house is older, it's so much easier and a lot of times cheaper to just tear down a house and build it over again. But think about the beauty in the homes where someone goes in and painstakingly says, okay, this needs to be replaced, but we can salvage these beautiful bones and this structure that has this wood with this beautiful patina. How can we save the parts that are still good while we rebuild, while we restructure, while we replace the plumbing and put in safer wiring and, you know, get rid of the mold or whatever we need to do. And yeah, sometimes certain things need to be just torn down completely, but it can be a knee-jerk reaction of I'm going to go into this beautiful wooded lot. I want to live in the woods, and it's cheaper for me to just cut down all the trees anywhere near my property to build the home and then just have grass and then woods back there, right? But what about the person who says, okay, I'm going to only remove the trees I have to remove, and I'm going to keep this forest intact the most I can, that sort of thing. It's a different kind of energy, and it's harder, it's more expensive, but it has much greater rewards in many cases. So there's my little.
I would just also like to add a little nuance. I can't remember who said it. It was at Jonah's conference he just did. I want to say it was Kalima. And if I don't remember correctly, whoever said this, it was a beautiful reframe of Saturn. And it was looking at Saturn because that's kind of like your judge, it's the discipline. And they said, you know, so often we look at Saturn and we're like, oh, this is like rigid. And but it's really looking at it through the lens of like, it's a loving parent. It's
Mhm.
that loving parent that's like, oh, no, 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 don't like be careful. Don't climb, don't fall out of that tree. Don't like walk off that cliff. They love you. It's a loving energy. It's a hard energy because they're setting those boundaries and they're like, no, we're not doing this and this and this. Like, no, that's not okay. Come
Yeah.
back in. And they've got you. It may feel like this energy of Saturn can kind of feel like a leash, but it's a protective, loving leash. It's helping to guide you and keep that discipline, keep that restraint. And so
Yeah.
for me, that landed beautifully because before I'd always been like, oh, Saturn, ah, you know. So to think of it in that way, it's still not an easy energy for sure. Like just really acknowledging that it's not easy, but it's just the lens of but it's through love. It's here to help you grow. It's wanting you to be the best version and the fullest version of you.
Yeah, like my algebra teacher, I always knew that he thought a lot of me,
Yeah.
right? Even when he was like, he literally, quick little chatty Cathy story. We would have time to do our homework in class, and I would always get it done, and
Yeah.
we'd still have time left over. And then I would be bored, so I'd start talking to the person next to me. And then he would say, okay, Cathy, you've got 5 more problems. And then he realized that I didn't care because those I didn't have any homework left anyway. I could do those on the bus on the way home. Didn't matter. So then he started saying, okay, everybody has 5 more problems.
Ooh.
And because I was distracting other people from doing their work and getting their work done just because
Mhm.
I was done, right? Which wasn't the right thing for me to do. And I had to learn that lesson. And it was so hard. It was, yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't like that. But
Yeah.
everybody would get really mad at me. But he had to find what worked and it worked. So
Yeah.
usually. So let's go through the lines because we've been chatting
Fine.
so much that we are running out of time. Well, we always
Never running out of time. It's
have time,
always perfect. Let me just
right?
do the limitation, except that we'll do these a little quicker. So gate 60, line 1 is acceptance. We're accepting it.
Yeah, we were talking about
And
60. We might as well do that one first.
Lisa
Um,
said she has 60, line 5 in her unconscious Mercury. Okay, so I have 63 in my conscious Mercury. Interesting. And
Okay,
then
so
Jonathan,
we're gonna do the Earth gates first this time for the lines.
yeah, Jonathan has 60, line 6. Oh yeah, I just started with, so we're doing Earth, yeah.
Let's go and do the sun. That way, if anybody
Fun.
jumps,
Yeah, just the page I'd
sun
open.
energy is the majority of the neutrino stream. That way, if anybody has to drop off, they'll. So okay, so gate 56, the Wanderer, stimulation, traveling, storytelling. We already talked about that. This is the shadow of distraction to the gift of enrichment to the city of intoxication. So distraction can be
Line
sullen
1,
and overstimulated. Line 1 is
quality.
okay. And being intentional, avoiding unnecessary distractions, you cruise through life. Being purposefully engaged in your life or not qualifies the value of all your life experiences. So very much line 1 feels like traditional line 1 kind of energy there, right?
Line 2, linkage.
Okay, linkage, huh? Welcoming. The gift of enhancing your world if you trust in yourself. Attentive to the brightness in your world, you notice how life is perceived by others. Okay, so that's interesting because it's talking about how you notice other people's perception of life, but it's through trusting yourself, right?
Another name for it is substance. So it's
Yeah.
the creative mind that needs time and solitude to fully develop and refine the ideas.
Hmm. Okay.
Line 3, alienation.
Okay. And that one has the sun exalted. So if you want to read that from there, or do you have your book? No, I'll read it if you don't.
I have neutrino. Um, so alienation, a will and egoism that often proves overbearing and guarantees continued isolation. Here, this is unacceptable given the sun's intrinsic vitality, the drive to control and be the focus of expression.
Hmm. Okay. So that can be a little egotistical, I guess, huh? So in Chaitan's book, he calls it being thorough, examining any and all fixed beliefs. You examine and update your beliefs, or you are careless how you associate them into your life. And for the sun, it's exalted. It says you express your beliefs with conviction and you have an ability to adjust them over time. Okay.
And this is an interesting nuance. It's very difficult for somebody with the 56 gate to be self-sufficient. They're dependent on the ideas and concepts coming from the 11th gate, and they're forced to adapt. Yet at the same time, the 56 gate, because it is a metamorphic gate in the throat, needs to be the one that does the expressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So line 4.
Line 4, expediency.
Measuring, aligning your beliefs in the context of your life journey. You are alert to when and what you say and must be ready to talk your way out of trouble. Okay. And line 5.
Attracting attention.
Okay. Storytelling, drawing people to your tales and adventures. You are crystal clear in how you relate ideas of worth or become vain and lose your way. Interesting. Okay, line 6.
Caution.
That one also has the sun in exalted, if you want to read that.
Let me find it. The prudence when linkage has been achieved to honor its new commitments in order to secure its footing. Honesty in expression, living by one's word.
Okay. So re-examining, assessing the boundaries of what is truthful. Your beliefs shape your perception of reality, bringing a certain quality of experiences. So the Sun exalted, it says you experience and speak out about your inner beliefs as you're constantly shifting reality. And I realize I didn't say anything. If somebody that hasn't watched other ones, what we really do is we go through two different versions of the lines. One is the stuff that Ra wrote in his book of lines, or the Ravi Ching, and not the book of lines, in the Ravi Ching. And then the other one is Chaitan's version of it all. So okay, so that all being said,
60.
interesting. Yeah, I want to say one last thing about gate 56, because when I mentioned at the beginning that if you have gate 56, especially in your chart, I really recommend listening to Richard Rudd's gene key thing he sent out with the pulse yesterday. Because one of the things he talked about that I found fascinating is he talks about these codon rings, and there's a ring, one called the Ring of Trials, and it's three particular gates that are all about trials, and 56 is one of them. And it was way more than I would want to get into here, but I was listening to it and I was like, oh, my niece, I know, because I've talked to her about her chart. I'm like, I know she has all three of those gates. So I wondered what that experience would be like. It was gate 33 and gate 12 were the other two. So,
Mhm.
and
Valerie said today's my husband's birthday. He has a lot of this. Happy birthday, Valerie's husband.
okay,
Jillian
so,
says, I have all gates in Aquarius, best I say grounded. Yes, that's my son, Aquarius.
okay, so now we're going to do gate 60,
Yes.
the lines.
Line 1, acceptance. Accept the limitation of the bump, the movement.
Okay, I realize I do not have my book open here. So I just want to say gate 60 is restriction, acceptance. Accepting restrictions allows for the possibility of flow and transcendence and the means to find new ways to resolve old problems. Setting and establishing prescribed boundaries and limits provides for a known foundation from which growth and evolution can take place. When you acknowledge and take care of any restriction, it becomes a potential springboard for advancement. And as I said before, when we were talking to Jonathan, it goes from the shadow of limitation, which can be unstructured or rigid, to realism, the gift of realism, to city highest expression of justice. So line one is accommodating, trusting in your own dignity when under pressure. You conserve your strength and options when confronted by restraints or become unsettled. Okay, line two.
Line 2 is decisiveness.
Finding advantage, knowing when restraints are unnecessarily limiting. You either seize the moment to act or feel hopelessly held back and unable to move freely. Oh, and the earth is in detriment here. So if you want to read that from yours, I'll read it here first, which says, you identify with restraints to the point that you become indecisive and immobilized.
Says an adaptation to restraint that becomes habitual and maintains the nature of the limitation even when it no longer exists. The energy for adaptation can get stuck without eventual mutation. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And then line three.
Line 3 is conservatism.
Being self-indulgent, learning through exceeding your own sensible limits. Recognizing your limits, you either restrain yourself or you proceed rashly and pay the price. Line four.
Line 4 is resourcefulness.
Extending, using limitations as a natural springboard for growth, you effectively cope with all restraints or become depressed when you cannot get your way.
Mm.
Line five.
Line 5 is leadership.
Line five is what you have, right, Lisa? In your Mercury. Yeah. And Jess, what did you say you have?
Mine's 3.
Oh, so we already read that. Okay.
Mm.
So finding inner independence, accepting any restriction agreeably has a great effect. You live openly with acceptable restraints for yourself and others, or become hypocritical.
Mm.
Okay.
She's like, yep.
And then line six is, I think, what Jonathan said both of his.
Jonathan.
So
Mhm.
both of them in the same line, huh? That's interesting. That doesn't happen very often. Usually the
Yeah.
line will be off. Okay.
Rigidity. Rigid.
So being idealistic, balancing between indulgence and unreasonable restraint. You know that any excessive restraints imposed on you and others will meet with resentment. So, okay, we did it. We got through
That
all
was
the.
perfect. That was so perfect.
So I also just wanted to, touch on the fact that we've got Jupiter is going to shift this week. So it's going to move into gate 39. So remember, whatever Jupiter uh, touches, it expands. So provoking, provocation. We just went through that energy recently, so we've talked about that. But, how can we see it? How can that be a gift? Because Jupiter is the great benefactor, right? It's very much how can it expands what it touches. So it can expand for good or bad. How can we see that provocation in a way to have it expand for the good? So that would be something to look at as we go forward into this week. We've also got Venus is moving into Leo, or I think it's in Leo, but it's moving into gate 45 on Sunday. So that's another throat gate. And that is the gate of the tribal leader. That's this teaching energy. Remember, though, that in our relationships, that can, how are we using that voice if it's not being asked for of us? If we if we are not being invited to share a throat gate, if it's not in our design that we're not a man, like if you're a manifester, even not having that gate is not something that's really been, it's not a part of your definition. So just really looking at how can you use that voice in your relationships and about your values in a way that's not reactionary. I think especially combined with that gate 39 provocation, like using it in a way that is thoughtful, that grounds in this gate 60 energy of limitations,
Yeah.
not in a way that holds you back, but that keeps you from tearing down that beautiful old home and having to just put up some prefab modern mess, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it's that mutation through the limitation, right? That limitation and
and
acceptance,
so
both parts of those. Yeah.
we have a day later this week that gate 12 is going to be, where is it in my notes here? Gate 12, the moon is on 7/21. Oh, and that's at night here on the 21st. So I think that's Monday night for about 11 hours. The moon activates gate 12. So that'll connect with gate 22, which is the North Node right now. So that's this
You want
individual,
that screen?
pardon me?
Do you want that screen?
Um, that's okay. I just wanted to touch on it. So 1222 is this energy of the individual voice. There might be melancholy, there might be moodiness, and just, again, ground in that energy of gate 60 and see what stories you're telling yourself too, right? Because even though 56 is about the stories we're telling to others, you know, pull into this energy of, how am I telling myself a limiting story, maybe, right?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And just an interesting nuance too. I just realized this could be slightly confusing for people because right now I'm embodying like this energy of this 60, which is limitation, which is acceptance in the pregnancy of contraction. And what we're moving into, just looking at the transits now, next is 41, which actually is the gate of contraction, right? Which is also interesting because if you think about you're marrying, you're pregnant with the baby, then the baby comes, that whole progression of it.
I had the gate of contraction in my head when you showed up pregnant, and it's,
Yeah. No, it's limitation acceptance.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was getting happy.
Yeah. So it's like, it's super interesting. Yeah. That whole progression. Yeah.
Accepting the fact that you're pregnant.
Accepting the fact. Yes. And I have to wait till next transit talk for the contractions. For the beginning, right? Yeah.
So we're going to have this whole cycle of this What
Yeah.
cycle is this? The mutation?
Mutation, yeah. Transformation, yeah.
Yeah. And
Purpose fulfilled through transformation. And that is a transformation. If you think about it, marrying maiden, you get married, then you have this like this limitation, this acceptance, and then you have the actual, yeah, because that's also the start, the 41. That's that start of the human design new year, right? That's that initiating, that starting codon. Mm,
see, even though it's called in the I Ching the Marrying Maiden, you know, I told you the story that time about how it's really about the concubine who knew that the emperor like was going to be dying and she was going to be buried alive with him. And so she prepared herself to survive by making herself become married. You know, she got herself married off, basically. She did the work to become now the empress.
yeah.
So it's this, there is no like resignation at all in this marrying maiden energy. It's not, because if you just look at the words marrying maiden, and I know that's a whole different transit now, but that can really feel like, oh, la di da di da energy. But it's
Yeah.
this energy of being prepared to get what you want and doing what you need to do to get what you want. And it's the start off of the root center of the economic circuit. You know, it goes through that whole channel 52, 32, I mean, and 54, 32, and then the goes up to the 26, 44, 26, and then to the 21, 45. So it's just always interesting when you if you take things at face value. That's the thing about human design. A lot of people can say it's just so complicated. Yeah, if you just want to do a superficial thing with human design, then just, you know, practice like feeling what it's like to follow your strategy and authority, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
where, for me, where the real transformation comes in is when you really start to understand the nuances of the energy, and all these words that we use are not well served by just taking them at face value, because
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
is a limitation of that.
There is a limitation, and there is, right? Even the limitation with the word contraction, that it's not, technically that's the 41's word. And here I am, talking about that root pressure. But yeah, it's super interesting to see how the story weaves together.
I always say that we are trying to explain energy, like these energetic big things, with
Mhm.
these man-made words, which, you know, last week we were in the gate of naming things, right? And this is what the limitation of naming things is. You know, you have a preconceived notion of what that word means and how it is conveyed, and you don't know the full scope of the story of why they chose the name they do, right? So a name often, if someone tells you your child's name, their child's name, it's nice. But when you tell them the story of how you chose your child's name, it becomes much more meaningful, right? And so that is one of the things that I really love about going deep into multiple ways of learning the energy of these gates. So
Yeah. And if anybody's like found something that's particularly like helped them in exploring, like share with us, because maybe that can help someone else, right? Maybe that can help someone else in their exploration and their understanding of that energy, the way it speaks to you, and not just taking, the words at face value and the keynotes at face value. Like, what does this actually mean for me? How does this show up for me?
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, well, my flight's boarding. I gotta go.
I'm getting ready for my 6 days of contractions.
Oh my God. I wonder what the longest anybody here has been in labor. I was really lucky because my daughter, I always paint this story because she is a manifester, and she was breech, and I knew she was breech, and I had said, okay, I'm not going to have you try to turn her. We're going to do a scheduled C-section. And the day I told the doctor that, I was already like 37 and a half weeks. So he's like, technically you're full time. Let's schedule it for blah, blah, blah. And that day, I always say that she was like, F it, I'm out of here. And I just see her as in my mind, she just like, because she was breached, she just like kicked and busted the water, right? Like that's just how I see
Wow.
her angry manifestor initiating energy, right? Like, let
Yeah.
me out of here. Because my water broke and I started to have some mild contractions, but you know, I had very minor, like was not even having contractions enough to where if it had not been for the water being broken, I probably would have even been to the hospital yet. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I had her, so I got lucky on that. So that's the one part where she made things easier for me. Yeah, I know people who've been in labor, were in labor for like 48, 72 hours and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, all right. Peace
sending
out.
everyone
Everybody.
love. Bye.